transport, review general packaging concepts, package labeling, special consent, stability maintenance. All right. So packaging, like your normal food packaging, sterile packaging must protect the contents. So when you package an instrumentation, the content, which is the instrumentation, must be protected. That is your number one priority. If the content is not protected, guess what? The contents becomes unsterile, or sterility is compromised. When you go to your grocery store, you see milk and the lid is twisted, it's open, the seal is broken. Would you ever bring that to your house? Mayonnaise. So I had breakfast and I had a little bit of mayonnaise in my egg and in the bread. Guess what? If that mayonnaise had the seal broken off, and if you see, when you open it, there's a covering, and it's an extra covering on there. If that is broken, and even if the seal is on, and that white seal is also broken, and somebody has taken something out, you'll be scratching your head, even touching it, right? It is the same with surgical instrumentations. When the package, and there are three packages we'll take a look at. We have peel pouch, we have rigid container, and we have blue sterilization wrap. When any of these packages have a tiny bit of hole in it, even if it looks like a needle hole, that content, it doesn't matter how urgent, how important that tray is needed, that sterility is compromised, the tray becomes unsterile, the tray cannot be used on a patient, okay? So the goal of packaging is to protect the contents from contamination, provide a temper evidence seal. There is the arrow that this lady was talking about in the presentation. We use the orange lock. We call it temper lock. The tapes that we use in sealing, let me come here for quickly. Look at this. The tape that we use to seal blue wraps, right? It serves as an evidence seal, in a sense that when this tape is broken, when that tape is broken, the content automatically becomes compromised. And you don't need a rocket scientist to tell you that. Oh, I will bring that tray right down to us to reprocess it for them. Now, so apart from the temper evidence, like the seal that is on milk and other regular packagings, we also have to the packaging must be appropriate for the type and item being packaged, okay? The type and item being packaged. All right, so you can't just pick anything for any, right? Any instrumentation. You can't pick any package for any instrumentation. Doesn't work like that, right? Some of the packages are validated to go in steam. Some are validated to go in sterile. You can't pick a container or a package that is validated to go in steam sterilizer to go in a low temperature sterilizer. It doesn't work like that, okay? All right, let's take a look at more objectives. Allow penetration of sterilants. Allow penetration of the sterilants, okay? And be compatible with any other requirements of the process, such as drying, okay? Allow penetration of the sterilant and be compatible with any other requirements of the process, such as drying. So the sterilants, again, from next week, we will start sterilization this week, so there's much more information to come. Now, and I've not received a lot of your assignments. I don't know why. We're given an assignment this class was due last Saturday, but a lot of you did not even bother to acknowledge the assignments. It was 22 questions that I gave on iPrep. It is documented. All right, so allow penetration of the sterilants and be compatible with. This means that the packages go through various sterilants. Instrumentations are exposed to either steam sterilization. Steam will be the sterilant in terms of steam sterilization. When we talk about low temperature sterilization, the sterilant will be hydrogen peroxide. Of course, there are different types of low temperature sterilants we will talk about. One is ethylene oxide and ozone. That chemical that comes through the package to get onto the instrumentation is what we call sterilants. That sterilant is what kills the HIVs, the hepatitis B that is exposed on this medical device. Okay, not the machine itself. It's the sterilant that does that through the machines. So when we get to sterilization, we'll talk about that. So what this statement pretty much means is that in selecting the packaging for sterilization or for your instrumentation, the package must allow penetration. It must allow the sterilant to be able to go through it. If it is a metal container, if it is blue wrap or pill pouch, whatever sterilant you're using must be able to go through that. Okay. Maintain the stability of the package contents until it is open. Maintain the stability of the package content until it is open. One of our objectives or one of our main responsibility as sterile processing technicians is not only cleaning and inspecting and assembly and sterilization, but also maintaining the stability of the packages until it is needed or until it is open. Is one of our responsibilities. That's why we have to make the storage room conducive for these trays not to be compromised, right? Checking temperatures and humidity every day, making sure the shelves have protection so that the wrap trays will not be, there won't be holes through the wraps, okay? When we are picking something from a wire rack, we are lifting, we are not dragging, we are not putting metal containers on blue wraps, right? We're not making the atmosphere, the conditions in that room, what do you call it? Not safe, right? We are not doing anything to compromise the stability or the integrity of the packages, but we're doing everything within our possibly best for the trays that have been sterilized to maintain its stability until it is used. I would advise most of you to turn your cameras on, please. It's very, very important. One of my main pet peeves. Try and turn your cameras on so that we know you are paying attention to this class. Unless you are driving, but you can test me. John, I'm driving. John, I'm taking my shower. I can't turn my camera on. That I will understand. But if not, if you are in class for 3 hours, I want to see you guys. Try. Create package that can be open aseptically. So the package is done in a way that when the trays get to the OR, it can be open in a way that the prison room will not compromise what the content is or what is in the contents. Okay, we're going to look at 3 different types of packages. Packaging or sterilization packaging is classified by FDA as Class 2 medical device. Class 2 medical device. Class 2 medical device is means that the package has what it takes to cause some form of issues or dangers to patient care. If, for instance, this package is made by somebody that has not gone through FDA and the package is posts itself as safe as is able to sterilize medical device, right? And we think that, well, this package is good, we can use it to sterilize instrumentation. And as a matter of fact, we cannot, right? That false information that this package has portrayed will make surgeons use instrumentations that has not been sterilized. That is why FDA have this package, all the packages is falls under Class 2 medical device, okay? All right. Now, the consequences of non-sterile items being used during surgery can be life-threatening. If an instrumentation is not being used, right, it can be life-threatening. It is, if the item is not properly sterilized, it could be life-threatening. Because that is where all the infection occurs. That's where all the infection occurs. Now, in selecting the packaging material, different types of packaging are needed, right? Different types of packaging are needed for different types of sterilization. Styles of packaging may vary on package content. Only packaging material approved as sterilization packaging by the FDA should be used for sterilization. So you can't go to any store and grab a package, right, to bring to the hospital to start packaging instrumentations. We only use packages that has been validated by FDA, okay? All right, these are this is the third package, okay, apart from the PU pouch and the blue wrap. This is the rigid sterilization container that you come in contact with. these packages are the only thing that are available in our world, okay? These are the 3 packages you have to know about. We have the woven textiles. It's a muslin, a broad term describing a wide varieties of plain weave cotton or polyester fabrics having approximately 140 threads per square inch. So that is and the other woven textiles we have the dark cloth, the twill, the barrier cloth, treated barrier fabrics. Notes, this is important just in case you see this on the state board. Canvas should not be used as a sterile packaging material. I'll take a screenshot of it. I'll highlight it in my book if the book is mine. Now, textile packaging must be inspected. Now, that blue wrap you're going to be seeing in the hospital. And again, I think talking about blue wrap, I think I have some blue wraps here. In the past, I buy everything that I'll use to teach. So let me show you. So you have your blue wrap like this. And the blue wraps comes in different sizes. So if you are wrapping something that is small, you may have 18 by 18, something like this, right? 18 by 18, you have 20 by 20, 24 by 24, 30 by 30, 35 by 35, or 34 by 34, 40 by 40 size. So as the size goes up, it becomes bigger because there are certain trays that are that big. So if you do not have a big wrap, you cannot wrap it properly. Now, before you wrap these trays, you will have to lift this to the light to make sure that there are no holes in the package. If there is a hole on this package, you are wasting everyone's time by wrapping a tray with a hole in the wrap. So it is important that to avoid having issues in the OR, delays, cancellations, and all this, you want to check your packages before you use them, okay? Lift them up to the light, make sure there are no holes. If there are holes, throw them in the trash bin. This one can go in the regular trash. Yeah, pick another one. Inspect that as well to make sure there are no holes on them. Holes must be patched using a heat seal patch. No, we don't patch holes here. I'm sorry. We don't patch any holes in our department. Okay, especially if we are talking about blue wraps. No, we don't patch anything. I'm sorry, give me one. Okay, there you go. Okay, so the textile packaging require more labor than disposable packaging. Okay, so the textile packaging, I mean, I've never used the textile packaging. The disposable packaging is what we use. The blue wrap is disposable. Once it gets up to the OR, it gets discarded. Okay, we do not get the blue wraps back in decontamination because we don't need them for anything. All right. Somebody sent a message. All right, Justin. No worries. So the textile packaging material should be held in the room temperature up to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, 64 to 72, which is equivalent to 18 degrees Celsius to 22 degrees Celsius, and a relative humidity of up to 70% for a minimum of 2 hours prior to sterilization. Textile packaging. I don't know if there's any hospital that uses textile packaging. And failure to, but for the state board, we have to know everything, right? Failure to do so will cause what we call superheating of the fabric during sterilization. If the textiles are not in the right temperature, it's going to cause superheating. Now, what is superheating? A good definition to know. The condition that arises when steam is at a temperature which exceeds that of saturated steam at the same pressure. Okay. Rigid container system. Rigid container system is very, very, very efficient in the sense that when we're talking about holes in a wrap, it is minimal when we are using a metal container to package instrumentation. Blue wrap, though we use this a lot because a lot of packages, a lot of containers are plastic. If the container you're using is plastic, it gets wrapped. If the base like this, if the base is metal, but the top is plastic, we wrap that tray. So loners, for instance, you can get 50 loners, and you may have to wrap all the 50 loners. Or you may have a house tray, because of the make of the package, you may have to wrap it, okay? Plastic. I want this to really ring bell in your ears whilst you are working. That when the package is plastic, plastics do not go in a rigid container. Plastics get wrapped, okay? So except for the wire baskets, the metal basket with holes around them, those are what goes in a rigid container. All right. Box-like structure that consists of inner basket to hold instruments and an outer structure that acts as a bacterial barrier. This is a rigid container we are describing. Rigid containers allow sterilant penetration through disposable filters. Rigid containers allow sterilant penetration through disposable filters, ceramics filters, or valves. The rigid container is solid, it's metal, well, yeah, for the most part. And there may be holes underneath it, and there may be holes on the lid. The holes are where we place the filters. The filter is what filters microbes. And it's also the same spot where the filter is. That's where steam comes through from the sterilizer to sterilize the contents. That is where steam exits as well, okay? Water exits through the filters as well. And after sterilization, the filters is what prevents microbes from coming inside to compromise the tray. So if we sterilize something in a rigid container for, let's say, it's been on the shelf for 2 years, right? If this sits on the shelf for 2 years, if that is the shelf life of the container, the items in there will remain sterile for that 2 years. Okay? That is how good it is, unless the filter is compromised, unless the filter have a hole. So I'm going to show you the filter so that you see. So this is the old Genesis container that is in the video. This is the Genesis container. The hole you see is where we place the filter. So we call that container filter retention plates, right there. Filter retention plates. Right here, filter retention plates. That is the name. And this is for the old container, Genesis, right? If you use Escola, it is round like this, okay? Just so you know. And if you look at the bottom of the container, what do you see again? Another filter. If the container is just all together, if there's no filters at the bottom, during the steam sterilization process where drying is required, it will be very, very challenging, or it will be very, very difficult for the content to dry properly, okay? So for the most part, most of these rigid containers will have filters or holes at the bottom and some on the top. It is not the end of the world if you get a container that will have a filter on the lid and not at the bottom of the containers. Some of the containers does not have filters at the bottom of it. Don't say you cannot use it because John said the containers should all have filters. No. All right, let's take a look. Take a look at the labeling. You have the filter retention plate with what we call gasket, and I want to explain this for you to understand. Gasket sterilizers also have steam sterilizers also have gasket. Your refrigerator will have gasket. It is what prevents steam from coming outside and also cold air from coming inside your refrigerator. That plastic seal at the door, okay? That is almost similar to what we have here. So this prevents microbes from coming inside the package, right? Because if the gasket on this lid is broken, diseases will go through underneath it and get inside the package. So before you use a rigid container, you have to inspect the gasket. Make sure it is not broken. If it is broken, replace it. Take it out of service and replace it. And locking mechanisms is where we will use our tamper-proof lock to seal it after we are done assembling the tray. We have container lid, right? That's the lid of the container. Disposable filters in between the lid and the filter retention plate. The lid and the filter retention plate. That is where we insert the filters. Now, you see this thing right here is a lock, right? When you push it out, you can take that whole thing outside. When you push it in, you lock it. But before you push it in, you have to insert it here first. This is right. You have to insert it here first before you will lock it in place. The Escolab is different. There's a hole, it looks like a male and a female. So you push the female on the male on the container, and then you hear a click sound, and that is how it locks. Okay, so I'll show you that as well. And this is the container bottom. This is the container bottom. This is the carrying handle. So each of the rigid containers will have 2 handles. Okay. Tray labels, we put it there, security lock, and then locking mechanism. Again, this is the old style container. So let's keep it moving. This is the, this is this is a company that I know. I've totally forgotten. Anyway, it's not Medline. I hate it with passion because their containers are so heavy. Because we know we have to have 25 pounds, right? The containers are either 10 pounds or 15 pounds. So if you have a lot of instrumentation, you are always overweight. Your trays will always be overweight because the container is super heavy. I hate it with passion. But the Escolab also looks like this, okay? So let's assume this is Escolab container. They provide an excellent barrier, easy to use. Rigid container itself provide an excellent barrier, and it is very, very easy to use. Eliminate torn wrappers, right? Again, you see like your normal wrappers will have a lot of holes around them. This container, you don't have that headache. So hospitals that are challenged with holes in the wrap every single day, they try to convert from wrap to rigid. Okay, they count all the trays that are wrapped, and then they will start buying rigid containers to replace them with the wrap, so that the trays will all be in rigid containers like this. This, you don't have to worry about holes in the wrap and all that stuff. Protect instrument from damage, of course. Economic concern due to container weight. Again, additional cycle time may be needed for drying. Containers, rigid containers. Usually we put rigid containers at the bottom when we are sterilizing because they are known to be very heavy, right? So now additional cycle time may be needed for drying. Plastic containers may need even more drying time. Plastic containers may need even more drying time. Additional storage space required. Rigid container require a lot of space. So when you wrap, when you put trays in rigid containers, they take more space than when you wrap them. Okay. We are still on the packages. Additional labor may be required to clean containers between uses. When rigid containers come to decontamination, remember, blue wrap will be thrown out in the trash bin up in the OR, but the rigid container will come down to us with the instrumentations, and then we will have to reprocess the instrumentation as well as the containers. You see how that works? So when we're talking about additional labor required, that is it. You clean the containers, and then you clean the instruments as well. Latching mechanism may become damaged. The latching is the locking, okay? The locking mechanism may become damaged. Filter retention plate may become dislodged. Filter retention plates, the filter retention plate is what I showed you, may sometimes the trays, you know you did everything right. But then when it gets to the OR, they will see the filter drop inside the tray. In that sense, nobody will tell you that tray is compromised. Okay, so these are some of the challenges that we may incur. Cleaning rigid containers in decontamination. I'm surprised, but again, in decontamination, you're going to take the basket with instrumentation. It will go through your sink, and then this rigid container, you have to remove the filters, right? This is the filters that has been removed them from the tray. Okay, separate it. And then, of course, the containers will have to be arranged in a way to facilitate proper cleaning. Rigid containers should be cleaned between uses, remove disposable components, disassemble. Disassembling means removing the filters because the filters will be the only thing that will be assembled. In some cases, they still leave the filter plates locking. Though the filter, the disposable one, will be thrown out, they will leave the retention plate locked in. You need to disassemble, means just take the filter plate out. Clean according to manufacturer's recommendations. This is the gasket on your rigid container. Okay, this is your gasket. It's supposed to prevent microbes from coming inside the instrumentations after sterilization. Okay, so if this is broken, it's important that the tray is taken out of service, just the lid be removed and replaced. Okay, you need to inspect all components according to manufacturer's guidelines each time the container is assembled. So yes, you may do a perfect job assembling instrumentation, putting instrumentation together. But if this is torn, if the gasket on the lid is broken, the tray becomes unsterile. Disposable sterilization packages, you will get this in every hospital you ever set your foot in. You will see rigid containers in every hospital you ever set your foot in. Okay, so these are containers. These are the packages we have available. 3 types of packages. You should never forget this. Peel pouch, blue wrap. This is peel pouch, blue wrap, and the rigid sterilization. This is all we have out there. Okay. Now, this is a disposable paper. This paper craft goes inside trays. Okay. It's not a package. Well, it's a package in some sense, but it's not a package that will put an instrumentation in and then put it on a sterilization rack to be sterilized, like we will do with peel pouch. This helps us organize loose instruments in the tray. In some hospital, after you finalize your tray, the count sheet comes out. You fold that paper and then you put it in this paper craft. And then you fold it nicely and leave it inside the tray with the instruments. So this helps us organize loose instrumentation, individual or loose instrumentations that we have in trays. It also helps us, and if you work in hospital, that put the account sheet inside of the tray. We put it in this paper first, because this paper will help protect any form of ink that will be coming out of the paper and many, many, many more. Okay. All right. Okay. I see somebody's on, but I can't. Okay, I can see it. Okay, so peel pouch. Let me just give you a little bit background. Peel pouch is right here. In some hospital, like dental offices, right? Peel pouches for just single or maximum 2 instrumentations. Peel pouches are very lightweight. It's fragile, so you don't want to put a whole tray in a peel pouch, right? We use peel pouches in the OR for the OR. I'm speaking from the OR's perspective. If we use certain instrumentation frequently, there are certain instruments that are in almost every single tray. We will peel pouch some of those instrumentation individually, so that when the surgeon drops something on the floor, like this, the surgeon is using it, boom, surgeon drops this on the floor. We don't have to bring them a tray with 150 instrumentation just to get this item, right? So we peel pouch the instrumentation for them so that when they are in the OR and they need something for whatever the reason is, we can just give them one single item, because cleaning one item is easy than cleaning a whole 50 trays, the 50 instrumentation or 50 different instrumentations. The reason why I'm saying this is that if we give them a tray that contains 50 items, guess what? The fact that they've used only one item doesn't mean we can just take that item and clean it and add it to the rest of the tray. No, we have to clean the entire tray all over again. Okay, that is why peel pouches make a lot of sense in that department, especially from the OR's perspective. If not, they're going to be opening every single tray for just single items. All right. In dental offices, what happens is that the most of the instrumentation, they use few instrumentation for during surgery, just one or two items. So their instruments are mostly peel pouch. And again, for dental, their stabilizers are very, very small. So again, if you have big trays like this, you cannot even sterilize it. This is a dental sterilizer, like a tabletop sterilizer like this, that because you guys are not in class, you will not be privy to. I will not show you. I'll try to show you. So something like this. See how small it is. And if look at the space in there, you cannot put a bigger tray in there. So something like this, in my current facility, I have about 6 of these machines, right? You can put small tray, but not big trays. That is why these are used for clinics. All right. So pupil is pretty much, we use it for several reasons. Now, before you use these different packages, you have to inspect them to make sure that there are no tears, there are no holes, or the packages are not damaged. That may have occurred during transport and handling. Okay, this is very, very important because, again, if you don't inspect these things and you use them, it's just a waste of everybody's time. Craft type paper or paper craft type. I don't want you to ever confuse this with peel pouch. It is two different things. Okay, the peel pouch, again, peel pouch is a whole packaging method on its own. Okay, it's a whole packaging method which comes with the plastic and the paper side. Okay, peel pouch. Let's see if I can find the paper craft type. Paper crafts. All right, if I don't find it, it's not the end of the world. Even if I don't see it, it's right on the screen, right? Fatima is on the screen, right? At least you see what I'm showing you. So
Yeah. Yes.
that's what I'm showing you. It's nothing crazy. So I don't want you to confuse that, what you're seeing with this. This is two different things. This is a peel pouch, okay? A peel pouch, it does have plastic side and a paper side. During sterilization, this serves no purpose when we are sterilizing. The plastic side serves no purpose. If we have labels to spell out the name of the instrumentation, it comes on the plastic side, okay? If we have to write anything, we write it on the plastic side. Recently, we don't have to write anything. Okay, we don't have to write anything because of the labels. The label will give you every information you need. This side, the paper side on the peel pouch is where the sterilant will penetrate to get onto the instrumentation to sterilize, okay? So I want you to know that there's a big difference between these two things. They are not the same, can never be the same. If this is, okay, I don't have this papers, the one you're seeing is what we will put a count sheet inside and then wrap it, fold it nicely, and then leave it inside the instrumentation before we put a lid on the container and then lock it, or before we wrap it in a blue wrap. This goes inside the instrumentations. I don't want you to be confused. I may show you something later. All right, let's keep it moving. Medical grade paper, approved for use as sterilization package, used for small items. That's the use for small items, loose items. And also we use it, again, the count sheet can go in there. Depends on the hospital you're working on, their practices. Some hospital will put the count sheet outside of the handle of the original containers or outside of the blue wrap. So we wrap the package, the content list outside. Okay. All right. We use a tape to hold on to it. So, all right. Non-woven packaging material available in wide varieties of sizes and weights, used for various items from small single items packs to entire instrument tray. Okay. There are certain items that are heavy. You have to wrap it in blue wrap. Some this blue wrap again comes in different sizes. Barries will be wrapped in blue wrap because the IFU spells it clearly that use blue sterilization wrap, not PU pouch. It's not validated to use this. So again, all these things are in place for you to know. The system is set up in a way that before you get to work, these systems are already in play. You're just going to follow. Okay. Used for various items from small, single, and the entire tray. All right, paper plastic combination. This is it. This is a PU pouch. Okay, this is a PU pouch. Before you PU pouch and instrumentation, make sure that, of course, no worry. This is what we call it's a tip protector, right? Remember, before you sterilize an instrumentation, the instrumentation must be in an open position. If the instrumentation is not in an open position, it should not go in a sterilizer. And now, regulations or the what do you call Joint Commission, when they come in for surveys, they take a look at our instrumentations to make sure that the instrument that we have sterilized are in an open position. Last week I mentioned that when you are assembling a tray, instrumentation with ring handle should go on a stringer. Do you remember I said that? Or I'm deceiving you? Did I say that?
Yes.
I said that, right? So, okay. So that's true. At least I have one person who agrees with me for the very first time that I said something, right? So, I'm trying to get a pupil that is good. But again, so before you actually, this is just, this is the filter that goes in the rigid container. Okay. I saw that. I wanted to show you before I go on. This is it. So before you use the filter, you see the hole in there? This is the holder. You put the hole on the lid. There's a male component like this. So you put this inside, and then you use the retention plates to lock it in place. Before you use it, just lift it to the light to make sure there's no puncture in it. All right. So let me come back to this. What you see right there is it's a temper lock. I'm sorry, temper lock. I'm sorry. It is a tip protector, which also serves as a medium that could actually help the instrumentation be opened during sterilization and even afterwards. What happens is that when we think we open it this way, right, and we put it in the PU pouch and we seal it with a chemical indicator, after sterilization and multiple handling, this closes by itself. So you may have opened it before sterilizing it, but this may not be used that same day. It may sit on the shelf forever. And then as we keep handling, touching, you see that it's closed. So when surveyors come in and they see this in a closing position like this is not how an instrumentation must be sterilized. Your hospital will be cited for. So we have this in abundance in different sizes based on what you're doing. All you do is that you put this here, right? And then you are going to put it through this hole and it comes here. If this is something that is sharp, this part protected. So you open this like this, and then this comes in here, and then you lock it. Very, very, very simple. Okay, and then you lock it. Once you lock this in place, I can assure you, this is not something that is easy to close. It will never close unless you don't lock this in place. And sometimes we pick the wrong, there are some of these tip protectors that doesn't have this because it's supposed to be for just one pointy instrumentation. Okay, so they make it very tiny without this. You will see some of your technicians putting scissors or instrument with ring handle in those items, in those tip protectors. It's this lack of understanding. We have this so that this can be in an open position through the sterilization process. I don't have a big PU pouch enough. I would have demonstrated this part of the PU pouch. This part, you see where there's space, this is where they open during surgery. Okay, so what we do is we open it here, right? Let's say this is open. This is how the handle must always go in this way. Because when they open this in the OR, the surgical technician will open it this way, right? Aseptically. You see, there's a space for them to hold, to open. So when they open, this is the part that goes to the surgeon. So the surgeon will pick it this way. So if you turn it upside down, for let's say this part to be here, right? And then you open it from here, you're giving this part for the surgeon, which doesn't make no sense. Okay? All right. You may not understand, but we come to that. In some hospitals, they do double pouch. They do double pouch. It means that they will put the, let's say, for instance, the scissor in a smaller fuel pouch, and then they'll later seal it, and then they'll later put this in a bigger pouch, like what you see right there. Okay? Like what you see here. You see there's a small fuel pouch, and there's a bigger one. Okay? One thing that I want to say before we proceed is that if you work in a hospital like that, don't ever try to fold what is inside of it to accommodate the size of package you have. You always have to select a fuel pouch. This one should lay inside the bigger one flat without any foldings, because if you fold it, what happens is that if you fold this like this, or you fold it this way, just to accommodate the bigger size, what happens is that since steam is supposed to penetrate through the paper side, now you've done it this way. How is steam going to penetrate through the paper side? It's going to be blocked by the plastic. When you do this, the plastic side steam doesn't penetrate through the plastic side. Okay, so you should never fold, and it could be on the state board. That is why I'm repeating these things. Okay, this is very, very important. If you turn it up, if you fold it, it is also a citable offense. Joint Commission will cite the hospital when they see that. All right. Don't forget, a chemical indicator will have to be in the tray. A chemical indicator will have to be in the fuel pouch. I'm talking about a tray. In the fuel pouch, you need a chemical indicator. Now, paper-plastic combination generally used for steam and ethylene oxide stabilization. Steam and ethylene oxide stabilization. So the plastic side allows the contents of the pack to be seen. So this part, you can clearly see what is inside of it. And the funny thing about this is that the chemical indicators, we can actually see the change of chemical indicator. If it is, it's supposed to change from white to blue or yellow to pink. I'm sorry, pink to yellow if it is the low temperature. So if the color change is not what is expected, you can say, well, this has not passed the sterilization process, instead of bringing it to OR. Because with this kind of package, you see everything through the plastic side, okay? If I'm charging people from going out and coming in, I think I'll make a lot of money. What do you think? Right. All right. What's happening? The paper side allows for Stevilan penetration, as I previously stated. Spun-bond polyethylene plastic combination allows visibility of packs, contents, and penetration of Stevilan. Contain no cellulose material and is therefore compatible with gas plasma stabilization process. Now, these are the 3 packages we have available. These are the methods of package closure. We're going to look at the methods of package closure. You see the arrow? This is the arrow. This is the video we watched. This is what the lady was talking about. Donna, the arrow that goes on there. Okay. Now we're going to take a look at the different closures, and I'll just give you a little bit of synopsis right here. This right here is self-sealed, right? Or you do like your envelope. You just take this out, right? You take this off, and then you fold it, and you put it right on top. But when you do, make sure you fold it from the middle. Put your hands, like seal it from the middle first, and then you go here to the right, to the left. Now this will allow, you see, there's no foldings. There's no lines. Look at what I did. You don't see any fold creases or folding that can allow microbes to go in there and get inside the package. This is the right way to seal. So first of all, you seal it from the middle, and then you go to the right or left first, or right, it doesn't really matter. But make sure you do that so that you don't leave creases or foldings here that can allow bacterial penetration. There's also heat sealer. In these instances, we have to measure, if let's say, for instance, this is the size, that there are pupil that comes in rolls. So we need to measure, and then we actually will cut, right? We will do the cutting ourselves. And then based on the measurement, we'll cut here as well. And then we'll put this through a heat sealer. This kind of pupil does not come in like this. This is the cell sealed one. That one, we have to use a heat sealer to seal it. Okay, so this machine is called heat sealer right here. It's a heat sealer. It goes up to 158 degrees Fahrenheit, hot, because the temperature will have to be high to seal the pure pouch. Okay, I'm getting some notification, but I don't think it's zero. All right, so the heat sealer, when you go to your workplace, you turn it on. There's a switch, press it on, and then allow it to sit. As it sits from minute to minute, the temperature will be rising. So you see the temperature up to where it's supposed to be. If you heat a peel pouch and the heat sealer is not up to that temperature, it will not seal properly for you. You see the line, but it will open. You want this to seal solid because this is what will prevent bacteria from coming back to compromise the instrumentation when you store these items, okay? So you need to be sealed properly, all right? Right here is the blue wrap, the blue sterilization wrap. You use a tape to seal it. And on sterile tape is yellow, it's cream like this with no lines. After sterilization, you see a color, a black lines all around it. So you can clearly distinguish a package that has been sterilized from a package that has not been sterilized. You don't need nobody to show you that this is sterile and this is not sterile. There are color distinction that even if today's your first day, you see the difference. So before you pick something and bring it to the OR, the external indicators, and these are considered external indicators, okay? External indicators. The rigid container will have a dot on that arrow or the temper lock I'm going to show you. And of course, with this one, the internal indicator shows you the white changes to blue. So you know this has been sterilized. And even some of the peel pouches, okay, you see that there's an external indicator here. You see the yellow and blue. And what this says is that bar darkens when steam processed. So when I put this in steam, that blue you see will change to black. So there are a lot of things that allow us to identify or distinguish instrument that have been sterilized from instrument that has not been sterilized. Now, we're not doing sterilization yet, but I just want to point some few things to you so that when we get there, it will not be an issue, okay? So again, when we wrap a tray, after we go through the process, this will be the tape we'll put in, okay? Or we put on. This is how we seal, self-sealed or heat-sealed. And we're gonna lock a rigid container. This is an Escolar, this is Genesis. We'll lock it in place after we follow some locking mechanism here. You push one on top, you put this one on top, and then you lock it in place. It's some weird container, but of course, it is what it is. Packaging closure must be secured. It must be secured. If you are locking something, the content must be secured. If your locking mechanism is not properly secured, then stability will be compromised after sterilization. Must be temper evident to prevent resealing the package. So all these mechanisms, so for instance, the way we seal this, if you try to open this, when somebody sees it, they will know that somebody has tried to compromise it or have tried to get in here. So the locks that we have allows for that, allows for us to know that, no, somebody has tampered with it, okay? So these are the two types of locking mechanisms. You see, this is an arrow type. When you break it, we will see it. They need, when this gets to the OR, they need to break this to be able to open it. Right here, they will have to break this before they can open it. Likewise, this one is either blue or orange. The orange is the most common. So you may not be seeing blue temper seal lock a lot in the hospital. You see orange. And then in that orange, like you saw on this, you see this is blue. It changes from blue to black. That, if it is orange, this blue, you see the blue dots will change to black. Okay, so we are preparing to sterilize. So next week, when we are doing sterilization, these things will come to play. Okay, but these are external indicators. Internal indicator will go inside the tray. So for instance, rigid container blue wraps, we cannot identify internal indicator after sterilization. It's only the peel pouch because this side is open. We see everything that is in it. But that rigid container, well, after we put it in, after assembly, we lock it. After we sterilize it, we cannot tell if the content is sterile or not. Of course, there are the sterilization records, the external indicator, including this blue dot you see here. And then, of course, the tape color change as well. We will base on to say, well, based on the sterilization record, based on the external indicator color changes, we can confidently say that the tray has been sterilized. Then when this gets to the OR, and OR breaks this, they validate the external indicator color change, because before they open the trays, they have to check to make sure the color change outside is intact. The external indicator color has changed. And then they will check what is inside of the trays. That is the most important. Operating room will double check what is inside to make sure that has changed color. If not, it doesn't matter what the external indicator says. That's not. If the internal indicator does not change, it means that package did not have the right amount of steam getting inside to stabilize the instrumentation. So the instrument did not have the right temperature to be sterilized. That is why the internal indicator did not pass. So the tray will be considered unsterile. Okay. I'm trying to let you guys see an internal indicator because it's so important. If you assemble a tray, and definitely we'll see it on the slide. If we assemble a tray without internal indicator, it's a waste of everybody's time. All right. So the cell seal and the heat seal I've already explained. I've shown you how to do this. Okay. And guess what? At least you've seen this again. What you do is you put the peel pouch in like this, and then you push the bottom, like where her hands are. Oh my goodness. You see where the hands are? When you push this all the way inside, so this part hits, you just press the bottom part to lock it up, and then you will see that it will seal it. When it seals it, it drops by itself. This part, there's a black line that is not like inside this machine is very hot, but the bottom part where her hands are is not hot. So you push that up to lock it. There are some heat sealers that you actually will start from here. So like from where the thumb is, you're gonna put this in here like this, and then it will go through till it comes out. Okay, it go through like till it comes out. There are these are the only two types. The one that you push the peel pouch in, press it from the bottom to touch the upper lip, and then give it like few seconds, and then the lid will drop because it has finished sealing. Or the one that you put through the entire heat seal till it comes out. All right, that's the two different types of heat. It doesn't really matter. This is take you 1 second to know how to do this when you are in there, when you stand around it. Okay. Be sure to avoid creases or gaps in edges when heat sealing pouches. Okay, something like this. Okay, if you do, you see how the heat sealer will seal. If you see something like this, there's a room that will get inside the sterile contents. So you see something like this, you cannot use it. Avoid these. It needs to seal flat without any space to allow room for microbes to penetrate. Those openings can allow bacteria to enter the package. Okay, This is a tape seal or wrapped packs. This is how you have to seal it carefully to avoid any microbes from coming inside the content. Preparation of pack content. We're going to look at preparation of pack content. How do you prepare these instrumentations? Now, this tray, you see what is in there. The syringes I was talking to you about last week, right? I will show you again. These syringes are really uncommon in a lot of trays. It's very, very rare. Like it may be unique tray that you have this kind of syringe. Okay. And it's again, this serves the same purpose. Why do I say that? All the ring handle instruments are in there. Have you seen that? And they are open right here. Then it still allows for the ring handle instrument to be open. The tip of the instruments are open. That is important because that's what regulatory organization require. Not just that, that is what the instrumentation manufacturer instruction states. That is why the regulatory organization or regulatory bodies make sure that we are following what the manufacturer's instructions says. Preparation of pack contents. Before packaging, you need to inspect the content for cleanliness and function. Again, we are learning how to inspect and assemble instrumentation before we get there. We are learning these things because it will help us answer a lot of questions on the state board. And most importantly, knowing what preparation and packaging is. I want to mention this before we proceed, just so you know that once you pass your state board, and I want to make this as clear as day is from night, to know how and be confident that once you pass your state board, your provisional certificate allows you to work in the state of New York. And if you have doubts, you can't have doubts. I've been doing this longer than you've been doing it, right? So you shouldn't have doubts when I'm saying it. But I have one student, I think I've mentioned this before. She works in with Northwell Health. I've been my entire career started with Northwell Health. It got to a time where getting full-time sterile processing technicians is very challenging. So we changed the standard in terms of the hiring, where instead of requiring somebody with full certificate, we change it to individuals with provisional certificate. So once you get your provisional certificate, you are eligible to work, all right? You see why I take my time to break all these things down for you. Now, once when you feel like, well, John, I've passed my state, but I can't wait, I want to work, right? And I give you all the directions and instructions, the things you need to do to be able to get a job. And you give me your resume, and your resume is talking about security guard, HHA. And I ask you, why is that? You will tell me, oh, but I don't have sterile processing experience. But then I'm teaching you, we are sitting in class for like months, talking about decontamination, talking about inspection assembly, talking about sterilization, talking about case card assembly. And then you tell me that, well, I don't know, I don't have experience, right? Your resume will not even be picked because I'm looking for a sterile processing technician, and you are giving me security, you're giving me HHA. So how does that relate? It got to a time where I want you to know that the job you're doing will have to be at the bottom of your resume. If you're looking for a new job, you will use an experience that relates to the job you're looking for. So the class experience you're getting is enough. The most important thing is when you get there to talk about this in an interview, when I'm telling you, when you are preparing for an instrumentation, at least understand what priorities are, right? And again, I have explained priorities, trays that are needed. If I get case card, trays from the washer, I'm going to pick the ones that are priority from assembling. Before I sit on my workstation, I need to disinfect my table. I need to make sure that all the consumables or supplies I need for my day is made available on my workstation. I need to get, of course, the priority tray, scan the tray, sort the tray. You've heard this word from me like over and over again. Grouping similar instrumentations together. Then follow the count sheet from top to bottom. Whatever they are looking for, locate it. Quantity, look for, inspect it. Before packaging, inspect the content for cleanliness. And I said that it doesn't matter who is in decontamination. They could have 20 years in experience. but you will have to validate or verify what they are doing. Make sure it's so clean by inspecting it. And I've shown you all of these things. Okay. And when you have to also make sure you check for functionality, check for sharpness, right? Let's look at more. Apply lubrication or test as required by the instrument manufacturer. If the box lock is stiff, and I've shown you box lock, I said apply lubricant and do this, and then you'll become very smooth, because if it is stiff, the surgeon will struggle. And then organize the instrumentation. If something is missing, go and look for it. If you can't find it, speak to your supervisor, because some critical items that are missing cannot, if it is missing from the trade, cases will not go, right? So when you speak to your supervisor, there are instances where we have to have dealt with that, where hey doc, this item is missing or broken. One surgeon reached out to me, hey John, I know this is missing and this is not in my tray, but I can use this tray for a different procedure I'm going to do next week. So please make sure this tray is done, right? He sent me a message. And I know we're having issues. We're trying to get a new system for the doctor, but he knows what he have. He knows it's broken during his case, but he's saying, instead of you putting it out, I want to use it for this case that is coming. So if this communication is not going on and I put the tray out of service and I don't even communicate with them, you know what will happen? The case is booked, the tray will be unavailable. Okay, that is why it's important that if it is missing and it's not like an instrument that they ask 8 of, and I just want you to know these things. If there's an instrument that they need 8 and 1 is missing, it's not the end of the world. If it's an instrumentation that they need 6 of and 1 is missing, it's not the end of the world. There is still some substantial amount of instrument in the set that could be used. Does it make sense? So if you understand these concepts, that is it for assembly. When I'm done, I put my chemical indicator on, and then I will package it based on the manufacturer's instructions. I'll either package it with rigid container or blue wrap, and then it goes into sterilization. You are done discussing in preparation and packaging. Simple steps, and then you know preparation and packaging. This is what we want to hear from you. I won't take you to my prep and pack and say, well, you said before you inspect, I have to make sure if there are any priority trays, that is what I pick. I have to disinfect my workstation. I have to scan my barcode in my tracking system. I have to sort the instrumentation. I'll have to inspect each instrumentation to make sure there's no bioburden, there's no blood, there's no bone, whatever. Bioburden covers or summarizes bone, blood, and tissues that will be found on instrumentation. So there's no bioburden. And then if there are any scissors in there, I check to make sure they are sharp, okay? And I have to make sure the content they are looking for on every instrumentation, I locate them. If I can't find instrumentation, I have to look for it from my spare inventory. If it is not available, I'll communicate with my supervisor to make sure that I seek direction, right? Sometimes, because if you don't say that, they will ask, okay, so when something is missing, what do you do? And what we're looking for is that you will say, well, if something is missing, I'll have to speak with my supervisor. So if you can have an interview and include that step in that interview process, then we'll be sitting there nodding our head. This lady, this guy is really good. And then after that, we'll tell you, walk me through a sterilization process, and we'll do sterilization. We start today, then from next week, we're going to finish sterilization. But it is important that you prepare for job interviews. There's this gentleman that got me so disappointed that he feels like, well, John, you said I'll get a job after this, but I'm finding it difficult to get a job. And I'm giving you all the information to prepare for an interview. And yet when you go for an interview and you say, well, I don't have an experience. Like, how can you go to an interview and ask and feel and say you don't have an experience? Like, you don't know. Like I don't understand it. The reason why I'm so passionate about this is that I have about over 12 years of experience. If I'm going for an interview, I don't sit there and say, well, I have more than 12 years of experience, so I don't have to prepare for an interview. I've never done that in my life. So even with all these years of experience, if I know I have an interview, I need to go there and I need to prepare. You'll be amazed that somebody will come and somebody can have I had somebody who had 5 years of experience. I didn't give the person a job. Why? Because when you ask the person, do you know about testing, equipment testing? Can you tell me more? The person have no idea because, well, I work shift 3. So I don't know, right? It means that you did not do your due diligence before you came to sit in for an interview. And it doesn't matter whether you have 5 years of experience or 1 year or 1 day of experience. If you come for an interview and you've not prepared, you will not get a job. It is just like nobody will hand you something when you can't even discuss it, right? You can't even talk about it. You don't know everything you don't know. Like, oh, I don't know. That is why you have time to prepare. Decontamination. There are videos online on YouTube. Google, go to YouTube, decontamination. There are videos to watch that will put something in your head. I have gone through the process with you. You watch videos and it will stick. Preparation and packaging of instruments. Go to YouTube, watch the videos if you had a class a long time ago and you've forgotten some of these things. You go there and you can watch videos. Sterilization. I will put videos of all these things on the group chat where you can always go back and watch just to refresh your minds a little bit so that when you're going for job interview, you don't go like I've come for job interview. And then yet, meanwhile, a lot of people are working. And this guy stressed my life. I'm so busy. So when you add stress to it, like I'm just saying that the reason why I'm bringing this up is that don't assume we call you just come for the job. Like it doesn't work. This is not Africa. This is not Ghana, right? You know somebody, so they call you to come and work. No, it doesn't work like that in here. You have to, even if I know you, of course, if I know you won't work for me, right? Even if somebody knows you, you will still go through the interview process. And sometimes you have 2 people sitting there. When you are prepared, it doesn't matter how many people sit in front of you. I went for an interview recently. On the first day, I had about almost like close to 10 people interview me. I got a job though. The second day, I had almost close to the same people, and I think I showed it to those who were on class last time. Those who graduated. I got the job. It was a good amount of money, but I have to relocate, and I'm not doing that. So I refuse the position, right? Multiple, and I'm like, just one day, from this person, you go to that person, from that person, you go to 2 people interviewing the same time, you go to another person, right? If you are not prepared, how are you going to do this? You will embarrass yourself. I'm not saying this is what you go through. Certain positions require certain scrutiny. So I understand if you're going for director or regional director role, it's different than going for a technician role, right? So I just want you to know how it is. The moral of the story is take these things seriously. What I'm looking for from you when you come for job interview is decontamination. Understand what goes on there. Understand what we mean by preparation and packaging. What do you do, right? So when I ask you, tell me about preparation and packaging, the steps, sterilization. We've not done that, so I'll not hold you accountable. But the steps, case card assembly. How do you assemble a case card? Sterile storage. What do you understand by that? Dealing with customer relations, right? And then general knowledge questions, which is almost on every YouTube channel you get to. General knowledge interview questions. There are thousands of interview questions there. So once you do the general knowledge, which is your tell me about yourself, tell me about your weakness, tell me about your strengths and all of that stuff, they will definitely ask you about your work-related questions. And this is what we are doing. I don't want you to say, well, I don't have 5 years of experience, so I don't know. Prepare, and you'll be very eloquent when you are sitting in an interview. And people are like, because the idea is that if you can tell me this, it means that I just need a little bit of push and then you'll be there. Even if you don't know and you're able to explain, you have an idea, it means you have the idea. So if I show you, you'll be able to pick that fast than somebody sitting there like this, like, decontamination, all right. so just so you know, all right, let's keep it moving. Let's see. We have to take a break. We'll take a break. Don't worry, we'll take a break. I'm surprised that we've not even gone to almost half of the. This is crazy. All right. So preparation of pack content before packaging, inspect the content for cleanliness and function, apply lubrication or test as required by the instrument manufacturer. Protect instrument from damage. It is your responsibility to protect instrumentation from damage. Heavy items goes at the bottom, lighter ones goes on top. Assemble a pack that is neat, complete, again, underscore, complete, and will facilitate the sterilization process. If you assemble a tray that is missing, it's a waste of time. These are the tip protectors we have out there. I showed you this. This is plastic, very, very small. You take, based on the size of your instrumentation, you get the right size of a tip protector that can secure it. The tip protector should protect the tip of instrumentation from either poking through the packages or breaking, okay? Or even causing injury to employees when they open the tray up and over. I don't like this. I hate this with passion. It's like foam, right? So it's add a little bit of moisture. It's just, I don't like it. This is the ideal ones. This is suitable for PU pouches. This one should go inside trays that you are wrapping in a blue wrap or rigid container. This is the preferred ones, okay? All right. This is your stringer, okay? This is your different types of stringers, but this is I mean, this is so a little bit of a cake. There are ones that you have like a curve, what do you call it? Lock, like this, that you can just put it on to lock it, okay? But these ones, when you put the ring handles on, you're just gonna push this here, push it there to just lock it in place. Yeah. These ones are for like trays that are flat. I hate this. I don't really like this. There's none of my facilities that have this type, this and that. No. So this is your regular, this is your stringer. This is the common, the basic. This is what is in a lot of trays. This may be in one or two trays, very, very rare, but there are certain trays that will have these kind of housing in them. But this serves as a stringer. It keeps instrumentation in an open position. All right, basic packaging procedures. Name of device when packaged. So information needed for general packaging procedure includes, so when you package the tray and you finish packaging it, the name of the tray should be out there. Okay, so that when we are looking for something, we can read the name and we know that this is the tray we are looking for. So the name of the device being packaged should be there. Steps for preparation and assembly of pack contents. Sterilization method to be used. So the step for preparation and assembly of pack content makes sense. But sterilization method, which after you package your tray, it'll tell you whether it's steam or sterilized as sterile, that is a low temperature. If it is the steam, it will tell you the parameters, 274 minutes, 30 minutes dry time. It will be on there. So the label of a tray will tell you exactly how to sterilize it, okay? Type and size of the packaging to be used. Of course, if your tray is small, it will tell you need 18 by 18. If it is like huge, you need 45 by 45. Or if it is extra big, you need about 55 by 55 wrap. Okay. Correct placement method of items within packs. Types and placement required for internal chemical processing indicator. Okay, so if you are processing it into steam, there are steam indicator. If it is into low temperature stabilizer, there are low temperature stabilizers. Just so you know, in this industry, things are made in a way that we don't confuse technicians or people. Steam sterilization items are different. The colors and everything is different from an item that will go in a low temperature stabilization process. So you can't mix them. You can't mix the two. And even when you take the item, it is written on steam or sterile or low temperature. So you can, even if you can visually identify, it is also written on it. So you know exactly what to use. All right. PU pouches is used for lightweight items. Label only on the plastic side of the pouch. An approved felt tip marker. Of course, we are running away from that because we have labels. Package items, so the end of the items to be grasped first is presented first when the package is open, like I showed you. When the surgeons have to hold, they have to hold the handle, not this part. That is why we package it in prep and pack. We should package it in a way that the item to be grasped first is presented first, and not vice versa. Okay. Place pouches on edge for sterilization. This is how you arrange peel pouches on edge for sterilization, on edge. You cannot forget this. And I can tell you that this will be on the state board. And I'm going to reiterate this when I get to sterilization. But these steps, these are very, very important. Okay. All right. What did I press on? Okay. Some videos on the screen. Okay. Excess stress on the side of peel pouches will compromise the integrity of the pouch. Sometimes you see it is not fitted, but we make sure we push it through, right? So as you push it through, it keeps opening the sides because the instrument is too big and you're forcing it into a small pouch, okay? You see, create that excess stress right there, and that will compromise the sterility of the tray. Don't do that. Always make sure the package is big enough to house the items perfectly. And of course, this is in a locking position. It is wrong. Ratchet handle should be in an open position. And to keep ring handles in general in open position, this is a type of tip protectors you need, like I demonstrated with the Caesar. All right, double pouches, use appropriate size pouch, never fold the inner pouch. I don't want to stress on this. Nest paper to paper and plastic to plastics for steam penetration. So for instance, this is very important. I'll explain it to you next week again. If you are arranging this on the edge, remember paper to plastic. So like, for instance, you see, when we're talking about, these are peel pouches, right? This is how, if I'm arranging this to be sterilized, this is how it's supposed to be. We cannot do this and then that, and another one this, and another one. I'm trying to explain this to the best of my ability, right? So when you stand here, you should see all plastic. When you stand on the back, everything paper. But it's supposed to be paper, plastic, paper, plastic. This is how we arrange it. You're gonna get this on the state board. That is why I'm explaining like I'm crazy. Okay. Flat wrapping techniques. They are sequential. They are simultaneous packaging. This is in chapter. This is in your chapter 12. Okay. We don't have time for that. There's a square fold, envelope fold, and all of that stuff. And this is in page 271, 282 in your 8th edition. And of course, you get this in your chapter 12 in your 9th edition. Now, packaging labeling, again, the description, the content itself. You can't have a tray wrapped without the contents. We take a break in 2 minutes. Don't worry, we'll take 5 minutes break to drink water. Today, I'm gonna bombard you because I didn't get a lot of notification. So we're taking only 5 minutes. Take only 5 minutes break. All right, so don't expect 10 minutes break from me today. So again, the wrap tray must have label, okay? Because if you package something in a rich container or blue wrap, without the label, how would we know the content? It's like we will be going around like chicken without heads. One of the managers I used to work with, I think 8 years ago, Dada, she said, well, I'm looking around like chicken without, we are running around like chicken without heads, right? Because you don't have label on the tray, and we're looking for a tray, and we have to look at the name of it, but the tray is wrapped in blue with a tape. It's sterilized, but we don't know what it is. Don't ever do that. Well, after you wrap a tray, your label must contain the description of the package content, initial of the package assembler. So if I assemble the tray, my name or my initial will be on the label, okay? The lot control number. The lot control number is what we affix on these trays before sterilization, right? Identification of the sterilizer and cycle to be used. So for instance, if it is steam, if it is low temperature, everything will be on there. Dates of sterilization will be there. Requesting department or physician, that's not true. Okay, it will say, it will give you the specialty. If it is ENT, orthopedic, general, that will be there. So when you pick a tray, it will tell you what services it belongs to. assign storage location. It will tell you this tray, orthopedic, minor. It's for, of course, orthopedic. It is in storeroom A, shelf 1, whatever, right? It gives you exact location where you can find these items. When we come back, we're going to talk about stability maintenance,